What is going on, guys? Dave from Wake Up It's Football, bringing you guys the Red Zone Blitz. There is no Ezra this week, but we do have a special guest who's going to co-host with us. He actually has made an appearance on the Red Zone Blitz in the past, formerly known as James Carter from James Carter TV. Now it is MJ. MJ, man.
What is up? What is up? MJ from Sports Fan Entertainment. Thank you, David, for having me on the Red Zone Blitz once again. It's been a number of years, but I'm sure our chemistry will still be on point.
Hey, I know that even when we did, talk some sports back in the day, it was still pretty entertaining, and I did enjoy it. I never forgot about James Carter, but now it's MJ. Never forgot about MJ. So if Ezra, if he's out, whatever, yeah, maybe if I have extra time and be like, hey, yo, MJ, man, let's make a show, we can still do that. There's no time constraints, but it's good to have you on the show. Guys in the chat box already saying MJ, it's MJ, Andrew Kim, Zachification, all those guys. Appreciate everyone who's already in the FanDuel comment box. You got the regulars, as I like to call them, Super Hippo, Zachification, Andrew Kim. You guys are already blowing it up, talking about Teddy Bridgewater and all that good stuff. We're going to get to Teddy in a little while, but let's dive right into this one. More, I guess, if you want to call it a serious topic, let's talk about the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, only because, it got so much headline. And first and foremost, if it was up to me, I really wouldn't even want to talk about it, just because it's kind of blown, to me, in my opinion, out of proportion. But I'm going to give you the floor first. I want to kind of get your opinion on it. I'll give my opinion. See what the guys in the FanDuel comment box think as well. But go ahead, MJ. Let's hear what you have to say about the whole Colin Kaepernick thing.
All right. Well, it's always an interesting thing when sports and politics mix together, and that's essentially what we have here. As Colin Kaepernick is, sitting down for the national anthem, refusing to stand because of his own political views, and that's really what we're talking about here. But it's a very tough thing to talk about when it comes to whether or not this is something that he should be doing, if it's something that's despicable, if it's something that, is completely sacrilegious, blasphemous. I disagree there. It's something that you are allowed to do in this country. Okay, you are allowed to express yourself in this country, even to ridiculous extents. We see hate groups out there that go around parading, hating this group of people, hating that group of people, and getting away with it. He's not doing anything like that. All he is internally is saying, I'm not going to stand for this national anthem, and that's my choice. A choice that really doesn't affect you or me or anyone else. It doesn't hurt anybody. It's just his own personal decision. Now, with that said, would I have done what he did? No. For me, you stand during the national anthem. That's something that you do. Even if I were to agree on certain racial oppressions that he sees, I don't think the national anthem is a certain, place to take that out on. I would probably just protest in other ways. But, ultimately, it's his form of protest. And as long as it's not hurting anybody, I have no big problem with it. And also one other thing. Again, when we're talking about politics, because this is a very political issue, the main conservative point of view here is, you stand during the national anthem, you're patriotic, that's what you do. But if we're going to be constitutionalists, if we're going to go by the Constitution, we have to believe in the First Amendment, in which you have the right to protest. And even during moments where it may seem ridiculous to do so, even against things that you may not agree with, you have that right. So if we're going to be conservative, and we're going to say you need to be patriotic, and we're going to be constitutionalists, he has this right, and I have no problem with him expressing it. I just wouldn't have done it. What do you think?
No, and I agree with your point. I can see why a lot of people are upset, and I can also see why I see both sides of this argument. The more I thought about it today, though, the more that I thought that, I kind of do side with Colin Kaepernick in the fact that, in this country, you should be able to express how you feel. And you shouldn't have to be, screamed and yelled at for your opinion. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't go out. He didn't commit a heinous crime. All he essentially did was he did not stand up. And a lot of people said, "Oh well, it's unconstitutional. It's this or it's that." Like you mentioned, he has that right to do it. And a lot of people start bringing up the whole army argument. People fight for your right. You should be able to respect the flag. And it's funny that a lot of veterans, this hashtag was trending last night, was Veterans for Kaepernick, who are arguing that, we fought for his right in order for him, whether he would like to stand up or sit down. He can, that is his right. He doesn't have to stand up for the national anthem. Now, the one thing I agreed with, the real thing I agreed with on Kaepernick, because if you didn't go and see what he said this has nothing to do with the army. This has nothing to do with, whose right fought for what. The platform in which Colin Kaepernick is on. There's a lot of people out there who don't have the platform that Colin Kaepernick has. Putting the money argument aside of how much he makes and how he grew up with white parents and all of those things, there's a lot of people every day who, for a lack of a better word, get screwed in life. All right. And they don't have the platform in which they can sit there and say, "Hey, I'm getting screwed. Somebody help me out here." And that's what I feel like Colin Kaepernick was essentially doing, speaking out for those people who don't have a voice. And that's why he decided not to stand for the national anthems, decided to sit down, and essentially could have cost himself his job in doing so. I think this essentially could become a distraction. I want to read something real quick before we continue with this conversation. This comes from anonymous NFL front office executives and members. All right. This is from Bleacher Report's Mike Freeman. He came away with the opinion that teams truly, truly hate Colin Kaepernick and he may never play another down in the league. This is quote unquote, "I don't want him anywhere near my team," one front office executive said. "He's a traitor," another team executive said. "He has no respect for our country. F that guy." And according to one GM, "In my career, I have never seen a guy so hated by front office guys as Kaepernick." One executive said he'd rather resign than sign Colin Kaepernick. So a lot of interesting things there about Kaepernick, but there's a lot of guys against Kaepernick, a lot of guys for Kaepernick, one being Jim Brown. Jim Brown says he has nothing wrong. He sees nothing wrong with what Colin Kaepernick did. In my personal opinion, I'm going to say, what he did was okay, and only because it wasn't criminal. It wasn't a criminal action. He just didn't stand up. And you know what? That's his right. I'll stand up. If he doesn't want to stand up, that's fine. I'm not going to sit there and throw stones at him and yell at him and curse him out and tell him to go to hell. That's his right. And, I have my rights. He has his, whatever. That's it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And again, one of the things about this country and one of the fundamental bases of this country is that whenever you have a problem with the way the government or America as a whole is being run, there are these fundamental amendments, these fundamental rights that you have the choice to implement whenever you see fit, to express yourself, to say, "Hey, I'm not okay with what is happening here." That's why this country was founded in the first place. People from all over the world were sick of their governments in one way or another, so they fled elsewhere, and they created the Constitution and other documents as well that said, "Hey, when you feel as if the government or America as a whole is not being or is not the way it should be to you, you have the right to implement these fundamental rights to express yourself." And that's all that's going on here. Now the big problem is again, people just disagree in terms of like they don't see the problem. They don't see his argument. They don't believe in his argument.
They didn't even think to even listen to his argument.
Oh yeah, there's a very big I don't know, ignorance out there, and just the sheer fear of getting into the conversation about race and oppression and all of that. And a lot of people just scoff at that discussion or whatever, and that's fine. You can think about it whatever you will, but at the end of the day, he has this right, and as long as he's not hurting you or me or anyone else, allow him to do whatever he wants him to do. And in terms of the sports perspective, teams not wanting to sign him because of this, I think that's a shame. I think it should have to do with his play on the football field, not his political stances. But, at the end of the day, unfortunately for him, at this point, his career is pretty much over because he just can't play much anymore in the NFL. But, yeah, I truly believe that this might be his last stand in the NFL for the San Francisco 49ers here.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I was going to say, talking about the football side of things for Kaepernick, now that he's kind of come out and made this stand or non-stand, whatever you want to call it, I think he may have essentially made enough of a distraction for that team to where they kind of have no choice. Now, from a financial perspective, if Blaine Gabbert is truly going to start in San Francisco, you're not going to have a $12 million quarterback sitting on the bench. It's just not how it works. So if you're going to bench him, you might as well just cut him and free up whatever cap space that they can. I don't know how the money or how the numbers, crunch out at the end of the day for them. But I think he ends up getting released. Now, if it's anytime soon, the Vikings could be, a viable option, which we'll get to in a second. But I don't really see him signing anywhere other than Minnesota. I think his career may be over because of this. But it's kind of crazy. It was either because he stinks on the field and he was going to get cut, this or this distraction. I think both things are playing against him right now.
Yeah, like if he does get signed anywhere, it's going to have to be somewhere like Minnesota or, some sort of northern, probably somewhat rural, city and surrounding area where the media won't be too hard on him and he can just, play football, worry about being a backup quarterback. Maybe Seattle. I could see Pete Carroll giving a chance on him. They like having mobile backup quarterbacks like Tavares Jackson and Trevon Boykin. So maybe Seattle throws a bone at him. And then he could actually just go up there in Seattle, where they're very liberal and they really won't have a big problem with this. The media will take it easy on him and just live out the rest of his career, however long it might be. But again, now I think teams might just be scared to sign Colin Kaepernick, and I fear that this political stance might be the end of his career, which is really a shame.
At one point he was almost holding a Super Bowl trophy, but that did not come to fruition. Now, let's I was going to bring up Teddy Bridgewater, but I kind of want to see what the guys are saying, if there's any questions, comments, concerns, all that good stuff going on right now in the FanDuel comment box. Super Hippo says Kaepernick to the Vikings. And I think they're just probably, it looks like they're conversating amongst each other in the FanDuel comment box. Zachification, as Jim Brown put it, it's my number one concern is black men being killed by other black men, which is a concern, but a whole nother topic in and of itself. Zachification says 49ers downhill turn after the Harbaugh departure. It was Harbaugh leaving, and it was a whole bunch of players retiring all at the same time. That franchise went from being really good to really bad really fast. And a bunch of other various small comments, but let's get to Teddy Bridgewater now, because the one thing I'd like to understand, which has not been made clear to anybody from what I've seen so far, is how he suffered a torn ACL and a dislocated knee, which put him out for the season. For those who do not know, today that Teddy Teddy Bridgewater is out for the year. Contact injury. So the only way I'm going to see this in my mind is somehow, some way, his foot got us or the ground or whatever. And somehow he just totally ripped up his knee. I don't know if there's any video of it out there, but all we know is it's a non-contact injury. MJ, where do the Vikings go with this? I mean, Shaun Hill, is he a viable option for all 16 games? I think the Vikings right now are feeling like that's probably a no. You know, what do the Vikings do right now with essentially nobody at quarterback?
You see, it's kind of a funny thing. Like the Vikings thought, or I guess they wanted to believe that they had a backup quarterback. But then when your quarterback is out for the season, you kind of think to yourself, ooh, we really don't have a backup quarterback because this guy can't start for 16 games. You have to get better than this. You know, for me, Shaun Hill, he started a couple games, actually a number of games for the St. Louis Rams a number of years ago, and he did decent. So I'd be intrigued in that. He's getting pretty old. Assuming that he's played well in practice and training camp, that would be my go-to option, you know, because I think elevating him to the starting role is much easier than calling Colin Kaepernick and saying, hey, the season starts in 10 days. Congratulations. I develop a rapport with Adrian Peterson, develop a rapport with Laquan Treadwell, Stephon Diggs, you know, all these receivers and tight ends, this offensive line, learn the playbook, learn all of this, and be good to go. I don't think it works like that. The only time I've ever seen anything like that was, you know, Carson Palmer went to the Raiders and did decent, but he didn't even live up to his potential. Then he left the Raiders and he did really good for Arizona because you just can't come in, no training camp, no practice, no knowledge of the playbook, and just have success. Okay, so that's why you need a good backup quarterback. And I think that is the best option. Just elevate Shaun Hill. He knows the playbook. He knows their offensive line. You know, he has played with the second team more than the first. But it's an easier transition than going out and trading for a Geno Smith or anything like that. But, you know, if it were me, again, I'm starting Shaun Hill. But if they really don't want to, you know, my power rankings of who I would go after, I think number one would be Kaepernick because although he isn't very good right now, he can still throw more touchdowns than interceptions. Not much more, but more. I think Geno Smith might still have a very low game managing role in this league. So I think Geno Smith deserves a call, as does Mike Glennon. So that would be the main thing I'm looking after. But again, I would just prefer to move up Shaun Hill.
I think Mike Glennon would be my guy if I was the Vikings, but it's really hard. It's really hard a decision to make. Believe that Shaun Hill is their guy. They're not going to go out and trade for anyone. They're not going to give up draft picks. They're going to wait for this week to be over, you know, the fourth preseason games to be played, see who gets cut, like a Mark Sanchez potentially, and bring in a veteran like Mark Sanchez and over trading a draft pick to bring in like a Mike Glennon or a Geno Smith or a Josh McCown. Again, if it was me, I would give up the draft pick. I would bring in Mike Glennon back because, as they say, it's a win-now league, and you can't sit here and wait out. You just never know what's going to happen, and if you don't have the talent at, in my opinion, the most important position in all of sports, you're just not going to win, and you're just not going to have a successful season. You're not going to make hell not going to the Super Bowl. So you're going to need somebody there. Now, Shaun Hill is 36 years old. Very old guy, a journeyman quarterback, started his career with the Vikings, but, you know, been a backup quarterback his entire career. And if he was ever to be a starter, he would have done it already. He's already 36. The only year he really did anything was in 2010, where he filled in for Matthew Stafford when Stafford was hurt. He threw for 2,600 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. He did play for the Rams in 2014, where he threw for 1,600 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 7 picks. If Shaun Hill can get by without turning the ball over too many times, the defense to step up, and they would really need to rely on Adrian Peterson to make the season go as smoothly as possible, as can be, with Sean Hill at quarterback. But they don't go out and get somebody either in free agency after this week or via trade. But if it was me, I'd go after Mike Glennon. I think he's the best backup in the league. He's got the height. He's got the stature. He has some playing experience. So it's really it's tough. As soon as I heard the news, I was at work, and that was a tough blow to Vikings fans, only because the season hasn't started yet, you know. And the way that the injury happened, they reported on it saying that teammates were throwing their helmets, and the leg injury was so gruesome that some players were even vomiting. So that's tough. That's tough. But you know, if I had to pinpoint somebody, I'm gonna say, I don't know. You know, a lot of guys in the FanDuel comment box were saying Colin Kaepernick could be a Viking. I'm going to say Mark Sanchez. I'm just going to throw a name out there. I don't know. It's probably not even going to happen, but I'm going to say Mark Sanchez could be a Viking in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, he definitely could be. I don't know why they'd be interested in him. Mark Sanchez keeps getting by on, I mean, really horrible quarterback play. You know, he had 14 touchdowns, 11 interceptions in a very, very quarterback-friendly Chip Kelly scheme in which Nick Foles had 27 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. And his last year in New York was a disaster. I have no interest in Mark Sanchez, and I don't know why anyone else would either. But Mike Glennon, okay, we're having a conversation. You know, Mike Glennon, I think he could, you know, be decent for this football team, but again, you know, Mike Glennon has had issues being a starting quarterback in this league. And I really don't think he could just go to Minnesota and just pick up this playbook really quickly at all. And then in terms of relying on Adrian Peterson, you know, I still think Adrian Peterson, I mean, he's obviously a very good running back at this point, but I don't think he can carry you to the playoffs anymore. I mean, he just turned 31. I mean, he's still going to run for 12, 13, maybe even 1,400 yards, but you know, they're going to need a 1,800-yard performance to get to the playoffs. And he's just not going to be able to give that to you. So really, it's just unfortunate for this team because they expected Teddy Bridgewater to finally break out. He's going to break out, finally reach the pedigree with his peers, Blake Bortles and Derek Carr, throw for over 30 touchdowns some people had him getting, and finally solidify himself as a franchise quarterback in this league. And then his ACL, unfortunately, had to tear. And, you know, we have to wait until next year to see if that development actually occurs. But, you know, for me, the Vikings, they're out of the playoffs. And I think they'll be decent. I have them scheduled for 7-9, but the playoffs, to me, is now out of the question.
Yeah, it's funny how everything changes with one injury. I just got a ESPN update. This isn't bragging or anything. This is just, I'm going to read it. It says, with the Vikings quarterback Teddy Bridgewater out, all 16 games, according to ESPN's Football Power Index. I'm not going to even say that. There's no way the Packers win all 16 games. But you already got updates like this coming out saying the Packers are going to win just because Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know, man. It's I don't know how much of an impact Teddy's injury is going to have on that team. If they can bring someone in who can just keep them afloat, they might still be able to go 9-7, or I don't know about 10-6. I was going to say 10-6. I'm going to say 9-7 is probably the ceiling right now for the Vikings after this Bridgewater injury. But they're gonna have to put a lot of duct tape, super glue. They're gonna need everything in the toolbox to keep that team together to win some football games after this.
Yeah, it's a shame, and oh man, the Vikings. I mean, it's just also the good thing is though with the Vikings, Mike Zimmer. This guy is a really, really good head coach in the NFL. And I think that this guy could really rally the troops around this and then turn this team into an underdog. I mean, they're already underdogs at this point, but be able to just rally the troops and get everybody motivated and hyped. And for each game, it's us against the world mentality, and then they'll get after it and maybe they'll win some games. But the unfortunate thing is, although the production, like the very statistical production of Teddy Bridgewater in terms of 14 passing touchdowns, that's not going to be missed much. I'll tell you right now, they're going to get at least 14 passing touchdowns this year. I think they'll get more. But you get a guy who can win some games in the fourth quarter. Because for any given team, especially a team like the Vikings, you'll have, let's say, 6, maybe even 7 games that are determined by 7 points or less, maybe even more than that. And it's the quarterback of your football team that is able to pull through those games for you. And I think that's why the Vikings go from a 10-6 to a 7-9. Because Sean Hill or Mike Glennon or Geno Smith, they're not going to be able to pull out that game against Aaron Rodgers. Not even against Matthew Stafford. Not even against Jay Cutler, I think. And that's where it's really going to hurt this team.
And it stinks because Adrian Peterson is getting up there in age now. When does his career start going on to decline? If it's this season, they're 4-12, 5-11. They're done because they're not going to be able to rely on 32-year-old Adrian Peterson now. I think he is. But it is AP. I mean, if anyone's going to be able to do it, I don't know where we want to put him. Top 5, top 10 at least, running back of all time. But when does that start? When does that decline start happening in age? So a lot of the guys are saying my audio still stinks. I don't know why my audio's. I don't know what's happening.
Okay, there it is. You're good.
I'm gonna try.
You're good. It just happened. It just fixed.
Okay, I don't know what the issue is. Maybe it's my internet connection. I'm switching. I'm trying to switch a couple of my.
Okay, it's better now, but it's kind of like you're in a bathroom or something.
Wow. Oh, everyone says it's good now.
Okay, that's fine then.
How does it sound to you?
I mean, it just sounds like you're in a bathroom, but it's fine.
Well, I don't know. Apparently, everybody now says it's better.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll just keep it like that. I don't know if you heard what I was saying or not.
Oh yeah, I did.
Okay. Yeah, so it's going to come down to a couple of factors for that team. But it's really unfortunate that Teddy's out for the year now, and there's really nothing that they can do about it. So heading on to the next topic that the Vikings probably wish they would have drafted, but Dak Prescott. As simple question: is he the answer in Dallas? And should Tony Romo start thinking about retirement?
Okay, so let me tell you my analysis of Dak Prescott so far, because he is the guy that is, been absolutely making the headlines in this preseason. For the first 2 games, I was impressed. Okay, he was hitting the throws, making the throws. Even having some gumption, making some deep throws, testing the defense in good ways, trusting Des Bryant to go up and catch the football, and he caught it well. The third game, however, I didn't think he was very good at all. Now, he did have like 17 of 23, maybe 200 yards and a touchdown, but really go back and watch that game. His mechanics were not on point. His footwork was inconsistent. His drop back was a little sloppy. His accuracy was spotty. He did have some drops. Like the Cowboys receivers did drop some passes. But I thought his touchdown to Jason Witten was low. He got lucky there. If that Seattle linebacker turns around, he intercepts that ball. I don't think Dak Prescott is perfect, but he is very encouraging. When the Cowboys drafted Dak Prescott, I love the draft pick. I gave them an A for drafting Dak Prescott because this is a guy that I saw at Mississippi State could definitely develop into a starting quarterback in this league. And then here we go. He's going to be a starting quarterback week 1 due to Tony Romo's injury, but he's going to be a starting quarterback week 1. And he's a guy that can have success a guy that doesn't throw many interceptions. His senior year in Mississippi State didn't throw many interceptions at all, but his mechanics and his footwork can be a little inconsistent. It can lead to some accuracy issues, and his reading of defenses isn't great. He's going to have to rely upon Des Bryant and Jason Witten to help him out. But if one of those guys goes down, they may have some even more problems and some more issues. But I think right now those two guys are kind of masking some of his issues. But we'll see. I'm encouraged. I think he'll be good. I don't think he's going to be great, but I think he'll be good. And I think the Cowboys will be relatively fine. They'll probably be about, let's say, 3-3 when Tony Romo comes back, and then we'll see what happens after that.
I think we could be seeing a Drew Bledsoe type scenario, or like a Drew Bledsoe scenario where he got the boot, so to speak, in New England when Tom Brady emerged. We could be seeing the same thing here. If Dak Prescott plays, this is obvious. It's obvious. If he plays the way he played in the preseason, during the regular season, or even showcases some of that, even if he's inconsistent at it, but still showcases some of it, I think Tony Romo's done. And the reason why he's done is because of the amount of money that he's owed. He's going to go against the salary cap by I don't even know how many millions of dollars next season. So from a financial standpoint, it would be smarter for them to do what's like exactly what Seattle did with Russell Wilson. They draft this rookie, Russell Wilson, I believe was in the 3rd round. His contract for 4 years, he wins him a Super Bowl. Dak Prescott, I'm not comparing him to Russell Wilson, but what I'm saying is, see that promise in Dak, then what's the point of having a $20 million or however many millions that Romo's making right now on the roster when he's 36 years old, has back issues, clavicle's been broken. The guy is just broken. He's starting to remind me of Percy Harvin. Stay healthy. He can't stay on the field. There's no point in having you on the team if you can't even, go 3 plays in a preseason without breaking your back. So, if Dak Prescott can get him, can showcase what he's done in the preseason, the regular season, Romo's done. He's toast. I think, but it's a matter of when Tony Romo comes back during this season. I think this is it for Romo. If he does come back and play this season, I think it'll be for the Cowboys. But this is it for Romo. Like, this is his last season, and I think he's out. I think he's done.
And then I would be interested to see from here, what the Cowboys do. Like, if you say Dak Prescott ends up being the starter for this football team, to me, you got to get on the phone. And you got to call, let's say, Denver, if they're not sold on Paxton Lynch midseason and they're trying to make a playoff push, say, hey, you got Tony Romo. How you feel about that? Hell, the Vikings, let's say they're even trying to make a late playoff push. Hey, we got Tony Romo. Want to give us a 2nd, 3rd, maybe 4th round pick? Start having some conversations, because I think Tony Romo, although we believe that he's done, because I think his back is just fragile at this point. I think at this point it can't be fixed, it can't be healed. He's 37 years old. He has a bad back. That's what's going on. When you get hit multiple times, it's going to get injured. That's just what's going to happen. So, to me, I'm on the phone. I'm trying to wheel and deal, get something for Tony Romo, get another draft pick in here, because I think there's plenty of teams, these fringe playoff teams, that would love to have that quarterback that can get them over the hump. So I'm on the phone. I'm talking to this team. I'm talking to that team, saying, hey, what do you want to give me for Tony Romo if Dak Prescott ends up being a pretty damn good quarterback in this league this year? I am going to be on the phone if I am Jerry Jones.
You know what? I want to look up and see how what Romo's contract is right now, because some teams aren't even going to want him because of his contract. They're like, oh, well, you know what? we are, let's say it's the Vikings and they're sitting at a 500 record miraculously, before the trade deadline. And they're like, well, Romo, he's coming back from injury. We could use him eventually here. We need to make a playoff push. Oh wait, we can't because we can't afford him. So I'm trying. Let me see if I can pull up his numbers, his contract numbers.
In fact, yeah, I have it here. And oh my gosh, I can't even believe they gave him this. So he's actually scheduled to make in 2017, so the next year, he's scheduled to make $14 million, 2018, $19.5 million, and then 2019, $20.5 million. And then the cap hits of these years, 2017, it's 24.7 mil. In 2018, it's 25.2 million. And then in 2019, it's $23.7 million against the cap. And that is ridiculous. I can't even believe they gave him this. I mean, 3 years down the road, he's going to be 40 years old, counting $23.7 million against the cap. I mean, that is absurd. I wish I would have looked up that contract before I made that statement about trading for him, because I don't know anyone that's going to trade for him. But at the same time, can you even afford to cut him? Because you already shelved that.
Let me look at that real quick, because if we want to tackle just this season alone, his cap number is at 20.8 million. His dead money, if they were to cut him, his dead money is almost at 32 million, which would equal, they would have to eat $11.1 million of that in dead money. Which, for those who don't know, that's not good. You don't want to. That's not good. You don't want to do it. But there are teams. There have been teams at times who, with a lot of dead money, they just don't want them on the team, and they will eat that. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Cowboys do with Romo and his contract, because financially speaking, from just that aspect, not even him as a player or his injury history, from the numbers alone, hard to keep him on that team. So it stinks. It happens to a lot of these quarterbacks when they get older. Their bodies give out on them. And Romo's just been too banged up, man. Too banged up. I want to see what you guys are saying in the FanDuel comment box, because I know you guys have been talking about him. We got some record predictions. Sports Talk with Starkey says Cowboys are going 7-9. Niner Faithful says they're going 8-8. Bird Gang says, now this is interesting. He's got them going 10-6.
No way.
And you got. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying, no way.
No way. No, not 10-6.
No way. No way in hell.
Michael Rogalski, who is a coworker of mine. Even if Romo comes back and plays, that means the Cowboys are 2-4 or worse. Then Romo is fighting uphill to make the playoffs. It's a lose-lose for Tony Romo. Yeah, it is. And that's assuming Dak Prescott doesn't come out to a hot start. If they are 2-4, Romo comes back. I believe their bye week is in week 7. If he comes back week 8, and he is hypothetically 2-4, battle uphill. He is going to be coming back from injury. The cards would essentially be stacked against Romo now. It's going to be one of those things where you kind of sit back, grab the popcorn, and just see how it plays out, because that's the beauty of this whole thing. We just don't know about it. You're trying to predict the future, and we're all pretty wrong. We just don't know what's going to happen. So we'll just have to wait and see on the Cowboys.
And also, this last thing on this, even if you're not a fan of the Cowboys, like I'm not a fan of the Cowboys, and you're not a fan of the Cowboys, we are all aware of Cowboy fans and how they've, been polarized on Tony Romo, and he's going to lead us to the promised land. Some of them believe, others believe that, he's just a choke artist, and now we don't want him. It's very interesting to see this fan base be divided, because I'm already seeing a lot of Cowboy fans saying, get rid of Tony Romo, it's all Dak Prescott, or, stick with Tony Romo, he's going to lead us to the Super Bowl. And, ultimately, this is a beautiful storyline. I mean, because this is still the most popular team in the NFL. I know the Packers, and the Patriots are up there as well. But the Cowboys are still the most popular team in the NFL. And it's so poetic that with this team, this huge controversy will unfold throughout the entire season. You will be hearing about this controversy. If Tony Romo comes back, throws one interception in a Thanksgiving game, you will hear people begging for Dak Prescott to come into the game. This will go out the entire season. Even if Dak Prescott's in the game, if he throws an interception, the Tony Romo fans will be begging for him. This will completely divide and polarize the Cowboys fan base. And I will absolutely love watching this unfold.
It's going to be awesome. We do have a question for you. Bergang asks, what team does MJ support?
I'm a Tennessee Titans fan. And, I have been a Tennessee Titans fan since about 1999. And it's been rough the past couple of years. So I know the jokes are coming. But don't you worry, because we're coming too.
Oh, man. I don't know. Jacksonville is on the rise. Texans might, Osweiler, Lamar Miller. You got J.J. Watt on defense. Andrew Luck in the Colts. I don't know, man. Titans, they got some work to do in that division.
Yeah, it's not going to be this year. We're not going to go to the promised land this year, but 2017, oh, yeah, that's going to be our year.
I didn't get your opinion on the Dorial Green Beckham trade. I thought it was stupid, but that's just me.
It's a horrible trade. It's one of the worst trades I've ever seen. It will prove to be one of the worst trades I've ever seen. There's just no winning for the Tennessee Titans from this trade. There's none. And some Tennessee Titans fans will try to tell you that there is, but they're delusional. You traded Dorial Green Beckham for nothing. Not even a draft pick, because at least you can say the 7th round draft pick that, hey, we could draft a great player. You could draft an underrated player. You've gotten Dennis Kelly. We know what he is. He's a reserve offensive lineman. You are first in the waiver wire. There are going to be plenty of reserve offensive linemen available come September 1st. You just have to wait. And that's all you have to do. And yet they'd rather trade Dorial Green Beckham, who is now starting the Philadelphia Eagles. In the second that this guy scores a touchdown in the regular season, be it week 1, week 2, or week 17, this trade will have been a loss for the Tennessee Titans, because that one touchdown will equal more production than Dennis Kelly would have ever given this football team. It's the worst trade I've seen in a long time. It's a horrible trade. But with that said, it really doesn't matter, because the Titans aren't going to lose more games because they traded Dorial Green Beckham. So yes, it doesn't have a big impact, but it's a dumb trade. But why just lose a trade? Yeah, let's just go lose this trade, because we have nothing to do. It just doesn't make any sense.
I liked Dorial Green Beckham coming out of college. I thought he was a top 5 prospect in regards to his talent. Unfortunately, all the off the field issues forced him to get drafted in the 2nd round. But he's got a lot of raw talent. Before, when Ezra was on the show, I believe it might have been 2 weeks ago now. The trade just did not make sense. And I liked what the Titans GM did during the draft by moving back out of the 1st overall pick, acquiring more draft selections, and then moving up for his guy. Was it Taylor Lewan? Who did they draft in the 1st round this year?
It was Jack Conklin.
Jack Conklin, that's who it was. It was Jack Conklin, who I loved. I loved Jack Conklin. I was watching tape on who was it? Who the Niners drafted 7th overall?
DeForest Buckner
out of Oregon.
DeForest Buckner.
Yeah, DeForest Buckner. I was watching DeForest Buckner tape when I was doing my prospect videos, and he was going up against Michigan State. And I'm watching the offensive lineman he's going against. I'm like, who the hell is this guy, man? This guy is destroying Buckner. I mean, why is Buckner getting all this hype, all this praise, and then you got this Michigan State left tackle? Who is this guy? I look up Conklin. I'm like, this guy has to be a first rounder, and lo and behold, he's somewhere in that 15 to 20 range overall. And I watch a couple more games. I'm like, this guy's gonna be good. So Titans trade up from 15 to 8 and get Conklin. I'm like, that's a good pick right there. I like Conklin, solid guy. I like how he maneuvered, the GM maneuvered in that draft. But then, gives me with a head scratch. It's like, you're doing good so far. You take the team over, you're doing good. So thumbs up, man. And then you trade Dorial Green-Beckham for peanuts. Honestly, if he traded him for peanuts, it would have been a better decision than whoever he got DGB for. But he saw something. He knows something we don't know. But it just didn't make sense to me. Anyway, we're going to move on from the Titans. And we're going to – what was the next topic at hand? I have it written down.
The next topic would be have there been
players?
Yeah,
go ahead. No, go ahead. You got it.
Have there been any players that have been cut so far that surprised you, or any cuts that may occur that may be a surprise?
One name that stuck out to me, and it's funny, we were just talking about Dorial Green-Beckham, was Ruben Randall. I feel like they probably replaced Dorial Green-Beckham with Ruben Randall, but Ruben Randall was signed a one-year deal, not a lot of money. He produced pretty well for the Giants last year, and I was a little surprised to see the Giants or the Eagles pull the plug on him so early. But early indication throughout camp and preseason was he just wasn't looking good. He just was not looking good, and I was reading up, on some news every couple of days, every week. Ruben Randall not looking like what the Eagles thought he would be. And the news came where they finally released him, and I don't think has signed with anyone. So I thought so far that was one of the more surprising cuts from out of the all 32 teams. I don't know if you have any that you'd want to mention.
Well, I'm actually quite surprised that Mark Sanchez doesn't look like he's going to make this roster. This is a guy I thought was going to start back in July, and then we learned that Trevor Siemian is beating him in training camp, and then now we know that not only is Trevor Siemian beating him, but now he's won the battle, and they're just going to get rid of Mark Sanchez. He's gone from the starting quarterback of the Broncos to going to be on the couch yet again. That was quite surprising for me. Also, Paul Kruger of the Cleveland Browns. I'm not sure if they cut him or if they're going to cut him, but I know that he's gone, basically, and that's also another free agency loss for the Cleveland Browns. I mean, they can't do anything right. They can't draft right. They can't sign free agents. They can't do anything right. So that's another L for them. And then I'm sure there's going to be, really surprising ones that's going to happen in the upcoming days. This is where the big cuts happen. This is where the surprising names go out there. Also, James Jones of the San Diego Chargers, or formerly of the San Diego Chargers, they signed him after Stevie Johnson went down. They thought he could come in there, be the number 3. They don't even want him as a number 5. He's out of there, and I think he's done in this league. Maybe the 49ers may throw a bone at him, but James Jones is done. Aaron Rodgers somehow got some sort of production out of him. How? I'll never know. I'll never know, because this guy stinks. But anyway, yeah. Anything else?
I'm just talking to the guys in the FanDuel comment box and telling them how I don't have NFL Network. Oh man!
Why do you not have NFL Network?
There goes the phone. Hopefully someone will get it. How I don't have NFL Network? Well, we always kind of just had basic cable, and we never thought about upgrading. So we just never. We just don't have it. We just don't have it. It stinks. I'd like to have it, but maybe pretty soon when I get my own place, my own house, hopefully I can see if I can get it because I've just never had it, man. I don't know.
Well, actually, I don't have it right now, so I should be talking. I'm a broke-ass college student, so I can't afford the sports entertainment package. But at my mom's house, oh yeah, we definitely have NFL Network.
Yeah, all I get is ESPN, ESPN2. I think now Fox Sports 1. I think we have a Big Ten channel for the Big Ten out here. So those, I think, are the 4 bigger channels. There's 2 things I want to mention because we have 2 questions that I kind of wanted to talk about from the FanDuel comment box. One, we'll talk about Trevor Siemian in a second, but really quickly, Angry Birds of Chaos says MJ hates the Osweiler pickup. Is this true?
Okay. Well, first of all, okay. Look at the deal. It's a 4-year, $72 million deal, $18 million per year. This would indicate that Brock Osweiler is an average, even slightly above average quarterback in this league. He's not. Okay, he's a below average quarterback in this league. It's not even close. The guy has had little to no production in this league. He's going into his 5th year in this league, and he hasn't produced yet. It's a very, very, very presumptive contract, okay? It's like giving a rookie quarterback that kind of deal. You know, in this today NFL, you don't have to do that. You don't have to give rookie quarterbacks those kind of deals. So I would have sat and I would have drafted Prescott in the 3rd round, okay? And then you would have gotten a much cheaper option, probably, maybe even better production. Now, with that said, he will be fine, okay? He's not going to be a bust, you know, but he will prove to be overpaid. I mean, it's just going to be too much money. I mean, no matter how you slice it, it's just going to be too much money given Brock Osweiler at the end of the day, unless if they win the Super Bowl, which is possible, but I doubt it. So with that said, I mean, you know, he's fine, but again, where's the production? I mean, 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, got benched for Peyton Manning. I mean, what's so encouraging about that? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, you know, getting benched for probably one of the best quarterbacks of all time. It's like your grandpa, right? Has a Camaro, okay, and you grow up with your grandpa, and he drives you around the Camaro all the time, and you get to the age where you can start driving car, but it's not your car yet, right? So you drive the Camaro around for a little bit. Until your grandpa's like, all right, well, I'm taking the keys back over. It's still my car. One day, it'll be yours, just not today. That's what happened in Denver. It's not that he couldn't be the quarterback. It's not that Brock couldn't play or wasn't capable, because I think he is. It's just the fact that it was Peyton Manning's team. Yet, Brock Osweiler's team, and they weren't going to disrespect Peyton Manning in his last season by taking the keys away from him, calling him an old man, and sitting him on the bench. That's just not how he was going to go out, and you know that's not how it happened. So I think that's what happened with Osweiler not being able to start over Peyton Manning after Peyton Manning came back from being injured. But 4 years, $72 million. I'd say that's a lot of money for a guy who's yet to be proven. Or has yet to prove himself. Now, on the same note, the salary cap is only going to go up from here. All right? If you lock Osweiler down now, and he turns out to be what you expect him to be, you might have gotten him for a bargain compared to what you could have gotten him in 4 years or what he's going to demand in 4 years. You still don't know. You've seen, you know, the quarterback rate right now is in the $15 to $20 million range. Then you get into the Aaron Rodgers and the Andrew Lucks and the Ben Roethlisbergers, and those guys are going to demand north of 20. So I think right now what the Texans did is fair. I like what I've seen from Osweiler in my opinion, I like what I've seen. I'm not going to knock the signing.
Well, you gave your analogy. Let me give you mine, okay? This is like...
Let's hear it. I want to hear it. Let's hear it.
Okay, this is like, let's say, an old karate master, okay? This guy's been a karate master for years. He's been one of the best ever. And he has a young apprentice, okay, waiting in the wings. So, the master, the kung fu master gets injured, okay? He can't compete anymore. And he's getting old, okay? He's been horrible, okay? He can't beat the opponent. So, it's time for the apprentice to step up and beat the opponent, okay? So, the apprentice starts out doing okay, beats the Patriots, okay, beats that opponent good, beats some other teams, but then he starts losing some games. Then he starts struggling against the Chiefs and other things like that. And then the old master was actually healthy for a couple weeks now. But we wanted to see, hey, this apprentice is doing good. But then this apprentice started losing some opponents. We're like, nah, we got to get this old master back out here because although this old master sucks now, he is better than what we're getting from the apprentice right now. Peyton Manning was healthy once again for about 2 weeks, and they didn't play him. This was Brock Osweiler's team, but then what happened? Brock Osweiler entered a rate of diminishing return. He had become worse than Peyton Manning was, and then they said, okay, we got to get Peyton Manning back in there. That's what happened here. It wasn't that they waited for Peyton Manning to get healthy, and the minute he was healthy, he was put back in there. They wanted Brock Osweiler to be the starter, and he failed. He disappointed. He wasn't able to hold on to the starting role. They had to go back to the old Kung Fu master, which they didn't want to do. And then, when it was time for the Kung Fu master to retire, the apprentice could have taken the throne. They lowballed him. They said, we'll give you $12 million, $13 million, because they knew kind of not that good. We've seen this guy for 4 years. He's not that good. We're not that interested in this guy. They let him go to Houston. They said we'd rather have Mark Sanchez. They said we'd rather have Trevor Siemian. They said we'd rather have Paxton Lynch.
I would disagree. I think they also knew that they have contracts with Von Miller on the horizon. They could have potentially tried to get Malik Jackson signed back under contract. Trevathan, who ended up signing with the Bears. They had a lot of free agents who are leaving or potentially could be leaving. They knew they need to conserve the money that they were going to have some of the bigger names. Now, they were still going to, pay Osweiler, but that didn't happen. The Texans stepped in. They said, hey, we're looking for a quarterback. We're going to offer you more money. Obviously, he's going to take the more money, and now he's in Houston. So, I don't know. It's interesting, and he's now in your division. You're going to see him 2 times this year. So I'll make sure to tune in for those games if I can. I want to see what the Titans do against the Texans. I'm gonna hit you up on Twitter, but MJ, watch out for Osweiler, man. He just threw on your defense.
Oh, well, we'll see. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Texans are drafting a quarterback. And let's say not 2017, but maybe 2018.
One day. Let me see here. We have about a half hour left. I think this next thing will take a couple minutes at least. So the season starts next Thursday night with I believe the Panthers and the Broncos. So I thought it would probably be a good idea now to give our prediction on on who the division winners will be and a Super Bowl matchup prediction. So we're gonna need 4 teams, and I guess we can do wild cards as well. So we'll do 6, and then we'll just do a Super Bowl matchup or prediction. Do you have those off the top of your head, or do you need a minute to think?
No, I have them.
All right, let's hear them. Go ahead.
Okay, let's start with the AFC. Okay, so AFC East, New England Patriots, no question there. They will win the division yet again. I understand that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to start a number of games. I think he'll go 2-2, losing to the Texans and losing to the Cardinals, beating the Bills and beating the Dolphins. Go 2-2. Patriots end up 11-5. Jets will be about 8-8. Bills will be about 6-10. Miami Dolphins will be about 5-11. Not even close to the New England Patriots. AFC North. Okay, Pittsburgh Steelers, to me, they win it this year. Le'Veon Bell, yes, he's suspended for 3 games, but they have so much talent offensively. They've been yearning to win this division for a number of years now. In fact, I think they did win it in 2014. They're going to win it again. The Bengals lost a little bit of talent, but don't you worry, they'll be fine. I'll get more into that in a second. So Steelers win the AFC North. AFC South is going to be really, really, really close. I think it's the Texans and the Colts right next to each other. Right now, I'm going with the Indianapolis Colts, but yeah, I think the Texans are right there. They've been very impressive in preseason. I actually have them right now tied with the same record at 9-7, but both could easily be 10-6, and whoever goes 10-6 will probably win this division. But right now, I'm going with the Indianapolis Colts, and then AFC West, I am picking the Oakland Raiders to win this division. But I think the Chiefs will be fine. The 2 teams I have making the wild card in the AFC is the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals. Again, the Bengals lost a little bit of talent. They also lost Hugh Jackson, so I think they'll take a little bit of a step back, but they'll still be good, probably 11-5. And then the Kansas City Chiefs, I think they're getting a little old. I think they're getting a little brittle, maybe a little injury prone, but I trust Andy Reid to still pull them together and make the playoffs at least. So I have the Chiefs making the playoffs. So we have Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals as wild cards, and we have the Patriots, the Steelers, the Colts, and the Raiders winning their respective divisions.
Let's do AFC first, and then we'll do NFC. AFC, and we'll do your AFC guys in the comment box if you guys want to throw your AFC right now while I'm going here. AFC, I've got the Patriots in the AFC East. I think, again, every year, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady. He's not there for the first 4 games, but I think Garoppolo can still get the job done. Steelers in the North, I think this is their year for that division. Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell is suspended for the first 3 games, but I don't think that'll be a problem. This was tough for me in the AFC South. I have the Colts written down, but see the Texans or even the Jaguars. And yes, I said it. The Jags winning that division. But I got the Colts right now. Yeah, hey, I see you down there.
I'm not ready. Not ready.
I think they can make a push this year. Anyway, Colts in the South. I'm going to say the Chiefs in the West. I still think that they have the veteran leadership and the talent around that team to be able to make another division, become division champs again. But on their heels is going to be the Oakland Raiders. I think the Raiders win a wild card spot this season. I think they finally get out of the dumpster, start getting back to business after a long 15 years. So I got the Raiders in the wild card, and this was tough because I had Ravens, I had Texans, I had Bengals. But right now I think I'm going to have to go with Texans. Dominant force on the defensive side of the ball with J.J. Watt. And we still don't know what Osweiler is going to do. In my opinion, if I like him, if they get consistent quarterback play from him, I can see the Texans winning a wild card spot as well. Let me check in the comment box, see if you guys got any division winners. Sports Talk with Starkey says Pats, Steelers, Colts, Chiefs, with wild cards being Bengals and Jets. Michael Rogalski, Jags, Raiders, Jets, Bengals, and Broncos are going into Week 17 with playoff implications. But he has the Pats, Steelers, Colts, and Chiefs winning the divisions. Vela said Oakland, Jaguars, Patriots, Steelers, with the Jets and the Bengals being wild cards. So we're a little bit all over the board right now. But I like it. It's awesome. Everyone's got their own opinion on this. Got some Jags, got some Jets talk in there, which both of us didn't really mention, besides me saying the Jags have a shot at it.
Jags aren't ready. Jags, they're too young. Offensive line, still horrible. Blake Bortles still throws too many interceptions, too turnover prone. defense isn't good enough to make up for those turnovers. Jags are not ready yet.
That's coming from a Titans fan.
Well, I mean,
like
this
them,
is
man.
the case.
I see potential there. They brought in a lot of talent in the draft. They signed some key free agents. Bortles looked good last year. They got some solid receivers. They got a couple running backs. I like them.
7-9.
We'll see what they do this year, but if we have to come back and play this, we might have to.
All right, that's fine. And also, when it comes to the New York Jets, you can't trust Ryan Fitzpatrick. They faced the AFC South and the NFC East last year. They're not facing those divisions again. Ryan Fitzpatrick will have worse production, and the defense will still be good, but will not be able to make up for that completely. I say it's about 8-8 for the New York Football Jets.
All right, let's get your take on the NFC now.
All right, so NFC, let's start with the NFC East. I have the New York Giants winning the division. Redskins will be close. NFC North, I have the Green Bay Packers easily winning this division, especially now that the Minnesota Vikings are done. Packers will be 13-3, 12-4 at worst, I believe, this upcoming season. We also have the NFC South, in which I'm picking the Carolina Panthers to repeat. In fact, this is a damn near four-peat this time because they've won this division 4 years in a row if they win it yet again. And then NFC West, have the Arizona Cardinals win this division, but the Seahawks will be close. Russell Wilson is looking great. And I have them making a wild card, the Seattle Seahawks. And I also have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers making a wild card. I'm a huge fan of Jameis Winston. This is a guy that I think has been the best quarterback prospect to come out of this league in years. I thought he was a better quarterback prospect than Andrew Luck. I've been on the record saying this.
Whoa. I don't know about all that now.
I thought he absolutely was. When you come into the college football league, NCAA, whatever, your freshman year, and you dominate, you run the board, this league is too easy for me. I'm leading my team to the championship. I'm winning on a final drive. He has the arm strength, the leadership, the acumen, the everything. He's great. He's going to win a Super Bowl. He's great.
He's going to win a Super Bowl.
Not this year, but definitely within the next decade for sure. He'll be around for 15 years. The guy is fantastic. It's too easy for him, and you will see that on display this upcoming season and in the future. But they make the playoffs for now. They make the playoffs. Wild card, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
So you said Giants, Packers, Panthers, Seahawks, Bucks, and Cardinals.
Yep.
That's what I have written down on this little notepad. That's all I had. Those are all I have. The Giants winning the East right now, where they stand. I think the Giants are probably the best put together team in that division. The Packers in the North. Teddy goes down for the Vikings. It's going to be tough for the Lions, I think, to kind of figure out offensively what to do after Megatron retires. You know, Matthew Stafford's record against winning teams in the NFL is like 2-30 something. I don't know. It's terrible. And then the Chicago Bears. I hate them. But I think the Bears can finish second in this division. I just don't know if it'll be enough for them to get a wild card spot.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
In the South, I think the Saints just haven't looked like the 2009 Saints for the last 7 years since they won the Super Bowl. Falcons just haven't looked good. The Buccaneers, I think, are on the rise, which, again, I have them winning a wild card spot. And then in the West, it's going to be tough between the Seahawks and the Cardinals. But I wrote Seahawks in. I think the Seahawks could regain this division this year. They took a step back. The Cardinals won it last year. Or was it the last 2 seasons now? Division.
It was just last season because they won it in 2014. The Seahawks did. They won 12-4 and they won it in 2014.
It'll be good. It's going to be another good battle between those two teams. But I'm glad I was able this year to put in a couple of teams that haven't been in the playoffs for a while, being the Buccaneers and the Raiders. I'm really, really interested to see how the Raiders do this year because I've been riding them, I think, in the last 2 years.
And, like, here's the thing. Here's the beautiful thing. The reason why, we both have them making the playoffs. I mean, number one, you got your quarterback. I mean, when you get your quarterback, things will change for your franchise. And also, when it comes to the Raiders, not only do they have that quarterback, they also have elite talents at wide receiver and pass rusher. And this is huge. When you have the talent of Amari Cooper on one wide receiver position and Khalil Mack, one of the top 3 defensive players in this league, that's a beautiful trio.
Put him behind J.J. Watt, man. Put him behind J.J. He's
behind J.J. Watt. He's behind Luke Kuechly to me, and Aaron Donald is right there. But I think he's above Aaron Donald.
Yeah, the Khalil Mack pick was fantastic. And for those, not to toot my own horn, but for those who've been around this channel, my channel, for the last couple of years, that season with the Khalil Mack draft with Jadeveon Clowney and Sammy Watkins and those guys, that was a year I really, really was able to sit down and watch some tape. To me, I just hands down was the guy. And, everyone was saying Jadeveon Clowney. And I think what really magnified Jadeveon Clowney's draft stock and solidified him as that number 1 pick was, he was dominant in college. But just that one play against Michigan where he blew up the running back, the helmet flies off and all that. I don't know why that did it for him. But I said it before. It's on tape. It's on video. It's on audio. It's on YouTube right now. I said it on the Red Zone Blitz even. Khalil Mack was always my guy. Khalil Mack was my guy before the draft. Khalil Guy was my guy after the draft. He still is my guy right now. Loved what I saw. If I was the Texans, I would have taken Khalil Mack over Jadeveon Clowney that year. And I even said it then, because not only was he that talented, but schematically he fit their 3-4 scheme more than I think fits the 4-3 that they played in Oakland when they drafted him. So it just made a lot of sense. But Khalil Mack, fantastic player.
Definitely.
You imagine Mack and J.J. Watt on the same defense?
I mean, it'd be ridiculous. It'd be totally ridiculous. And, again, Khalil Mack, he's undersized for a 4-3 defensive end. But he's so skilled, so powerful, so good, it doesn't matter. So you put him in the 3-4 outside linebacker role, and this guy is going to be absolutely ridiculous. The Texans would be so formidable defensively, at least. They still have to fix their issues offensively, but that would be one of the top defensive duos of all time, and it'd be really, 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 really scary. And wow, even thinking about it gives me a nightmare as being a Tennessee Titans fan.
Yeah, that would be devastating if you're playing in that division, and you'd have to face those guys twice a year. And he's also the first player who's won history who's gone to the Pro Bowl at 2 different positions, being defensive end and outside linebacker. So it's astounding. So gonna move on. Actually, no, we forgot to do the Super Bowl picks. Let me just scroll up because you guys in the FanDuel comment box are jokesters right now. You guys are talking about all kinds of stuff. Let me see if you guys talked about any of your NFC predictions. Let's talk with Starkey. Giants, Packers, Seahawks, Panthers, which is what me and MJ had. Wild card being Cardinals and Saints. Prize teams could be the Bears and Falcons. Niner Faithful 52. He has the Packers, Cardinals, Panthers, Giants, which isn't varying very much besides the NFC West there. Packers, Giants, Panthers, wild cards being the Bears and the Seahawks. Packers, cards with Giants and Seahawks winning the wild card. So it seems like the NFC we're all a little bit more on the same page than the AFC. We're a little bit more all over the place. But Super Bowl predictions. One team from the NFC, AFC, who would you pick?
So basically, let me tell you first the AFC because I'm 100% sure on this. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going to the Super Bowl. They will meet the New England Patriots in the AFC Championship game. I already see you shaking your head. They will meet the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. They will defeat the New England Patriots. Tom Brady's an old man. He's 39 years old. He's never been great in the playoffs, honestly, especially the past 10 years. And he's just not going to be the Steelers in January. It's just not happening. Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, they're going to put up too many points. I don't care if it's in Pittsburgh. I don't care if it's New England, but it'll be in Pittsburgh. And I don't care. The Pittsburgh Steelers will be going to the Super Bowl. To me, it's between the Patriots and the Steelers. And then once the Patriots and Tom Brady get out of the way, then next year the Raiders will be in this discussion. But for now, I think it's just those two teams. Maybe the Chiefs can get something going, but I think it's these two teams. I think it's the Pittsburgh Steelers that go to the Super Bowl. And then coming out of the NFC, we have the Arizona Cardinals versus the Seattle Seahawks. I have that NFC West matchup. And first of all, I don't know who's going to win the NFC West. I need to decide that. Now, I have the Cardinals right now, but the Seahawks are right there to me, and I'm thinking I might change that prediction. But anyway, again, I don't know who's going to win this game because I want to pick the Cardinals. I want to believe in the Cardinals because the Cardinals have a very beautiful thing. They have veteran leadership in Carson Palmer and Larry Fitzgerald and Calais Campbell and Patrick Peterson mixed in with young, fast, talented players. Tyrann Mathieu, David Johnson, Marcus Golden. They traded for Chandler Jones. It's a beautiful mixture that the Cardinals have mixed together here. The problem is Carson Palmer. Can I trust him? Can I rely upon him to go to the Super Bowl, a place of which he has not been in his career? I'm not sure I can do it. On the other side, we have the Seattle Seahawks, who are a great team, and they also have some young players coming up. They have a Tyler Lockett. They have a Thomas Rawls. They drafted CJ Prosise. They have some defensive, players that they've drafted lately. They also have a nice mixture there. But ultimately, I'm just going to trust Carson Palmer to finally get to the Super Bowl, and not even on his own arm. Just trust David Johnson and Chris Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald and Michael Floyd and John Brown and Jaron Brown and all these weapons you have. Just rely upon them. They'll take you to the promised land. I have the Cardinals going to the Super Bowl, and I have the Cardinals winning the Super Bowl this year.
Well, I don't know what you guys are going to think about this one, but let's start with the AFC. We got the Steelers representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. Standpoint, the talent is there. The pieces are in place. And like we mentioned 2 weeks ago on the Red Zone Blitz with Ezra, I think they have the number one combination when it comes to quarterback, running back, wide receiver in the league. When you talk about who's your number one, best running back, they have the best receiver, they have a top 3 quarterback. It's there. The pieces are in place for the Steelers. So I'm going to have to go with them. I'm going to take them to represent the AFC. Now, the NFC, I don't know, man. Maybe it's a rematch. Maybe it's a rematch from 2010. The Green Bay Packers. But I'm going to say the Packers and the Cardinals face off in the NFC Championship game. A rematch from the divisional round of last year. But this time they play in Lambeau Field. This time they play in the tundra, man. They play in the cold. They play where the Cardinals aren't very comfortable. They play in the Packers' house this time. I say the Packers represent the NFC. Beat by the Seahawks very, very late. I've never, ever, ever celebrated prematurely. That was the first time I ever celebrated prematurely was that game, 2-3 minutes before that game ended. Or before regulation ended. And then the Seahawks came back and won to go to the Super Bowl. And I'll never do it again. Never did I ever do it. Did it once, and never will I ever do it again. And then last year we get knocked out to the Cardinals. This year could be that year, man. It could be the year that the Packers finally put it all together. Jordy Nelson comes back healthy. I think the Packers have a sneaky good defense that not too many people are talking about. And it starts up front with Mike Daniels. But I'm going to say the Packers defeat the Cardinals in the NFC Championship game. And we're talking Steelers-Packers in a Super Bowl rematch from Super Bowl 45. I don't know if I can give a winner. Because I don't want to pick the Packers. Everyone calls me a homer. But I could see the Steelers winning. That game. But I'm not going to give a winner. I'm just giving you my matchup. I'm going to say the Packers and the Steelers in the Super Bowl this year for what is it now? 51? Super Bowl 51? Okay. That's my prediction.
Well, I mean, we both have the Steelers. Okay, so we both have that. The reason I didn't go with the Packers is I just feel that the Seahawks and the Cardinals, especially the Cardinals, I think the Cardinals are just a better team. The Cardinals, the only position in which the Green Bay Packers defeat the Arizona Cardinals is the most important position, quarterback. But that is it. The offensive line is close. It's very close, but it had some issues last season, so I can't go right there. And also I like Bruce Arians is the coach of the Cardinals. I think he's a great head coach. So I think the Cardinals and go ahead.
I don't know if we're lagging here or not because I didn't mean to cut you off if I did.
No, it's fine.
I was going to say that the team that I think has the least amount, if they, I don't even know if the Cardinals have any holes on that roster. Their defense is really good. It might just be tight end. But defensively, don't forget they bring in Chandler Jones. And they have Tyrann Mathieu. They have a lot of stout guys up front. And who's the guy they converted from safety to linebacker? I can't believe I forgot his name.
Deion Buchanan.
Yes, Deion Buchanan, a beast of a player. And then you have Patrick Peterson, top 5 corner in the league. So, the pieces are there for them as well. You want to talk about, pieces being in place for the Steelers. Pieces are in place for the Cardinals, especially on the defensive side of the ball to me. So, here again for the Cardinals. Maybe I should switch that. I said the Seahawks are winning that division. I think I might switch that into saying the Cardinals are going to win that division. I think the Seahawks go and win the wild card spot. So I'm going to switch those two around. Cardinals just have too much talent.
Yeah, because I'll tell you right now, man, the thing that's scaring me the most about the Seahawks right now, Russell Wilson's looking great. I mean, this guy came on last season, over the last 8 weeks, threw 21 touchdowns to 1 interception. The guy was on fire the entire last half of last season. The guy is looking like a franchise quarterback not only a franchise quarterback, like an elite quarterback that I honestly wasn't expecting. I thought he was always going to be a little bit of a game manager type, but he is. I mean, once Tom Brady's out of the picture, I think we're looking at Rodgers obviously still there, and then I think Russell Wilson will be right there in the top 3, top 5 quarterback discussion with Cam Newton probably, and then eventually my boy Jameis Winston, and that'll be a fun era to watch. But that's what's the scariest thing right now about the Seahawks. Because they finally are getting elite quarterback production from their quarterback, Russell Wilson. And that is a dangerous, dangerous thing.
And just for the record, I'm just going to go into some notes here. But on Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers leads the NFL history in quarterback rating. And number 2 behind him is Russell Wilson. And we're talking about quarterbacks. These are the only 2 quarterbacks in NFL history in their career who have thrown for over 100 plus in the quarterback rating department. So what's the best quarterback rating? I think it's like 158.3.
Yeah.
Rodgers is like 104 point something. I think Russell Wilson's the only one that's north of 100 right now. So you have a point. You know, you make a good point with Russell. I think he eventually will crack that top. I think he's top 10 for sure. But top 5 right now, there's an argument to be made. Eddie, Rodgers, Roethlisberger, who's 4 and 5. Russell could be 4 and 5, you know. But we didn't actually hit on Trevor Siemian, which stinks, but we're running out of time. We have 5 minutes left. News and notes real quick. Steelers have restructured receiver Antonio Brown's contract, which moves $4 million of his 2017 salary to 2016. The Chiefs' Jamal Charles has not regained his role as a full-time featured back, according to Chiefs reporter Adam Teicher, I think is how you say his name. Jamal Charles, again, for you fantasy owners, is still hurt, still recovering from his injuries from last season. Ravens rookie defensive end Bronson Kufasi placed on IR with a broken ankle. Kufasi came out of, I believe, BYU, or was it Penn State?
It was BYU.
I can't remember. One of those. BYU, very good, very, very good player. I liked what I saw on tape from him. Panthers are moving. Panthers are having ongoing negotiations with defensive tackle Kawan Short for a contract extension. Joey Bosa has agreed to sign his 4-year deal with the San Diego Chargers. That drama is finally over. And then, again, the last note I had was Broncos named QB Trevor Siemian as their starter. We have a couple minutes left. Any very, very quick thoughts on that?
I mean, thank God that Joey Bosa situation is over because that was getting real ugly. Oh, my goodness. And then, I mean, thank God Dave Gettleman of the Carolina Panthers is finally willing to sign somebody because he's very stingy with his money. I can't believe they didn't re-sign Josh Norman.
That's why they let Norman go, to get guys like Kawan in.
Yeah.
What about Siemian?
Oh, Siemian, I mean, I don't think he's very good at all. From what I saw in preseason, I'm not very impressed at all with Trevor Siemian. Doesn't appear to have a great rapport with Demaryius Thomas, but his rapport with Emmanuel Sanders seems to be pretty solid. Paxton Lynch will start 8 games at least.
And that should do it, Mr. MJ. Going down the FanDuel comment box, appreciate everyone who tuned in tonight. We have a couple minutes left, but just want to shout out everybody, if I can. Sports Talk with Starkey, Zachification, Niner Faithful 52, Michael Rogalski, Gerver Dillon, Bird Gang, Andrew Kim, Angry Birds of Chaos. I'm probably missing names. I'm just scrolling through here the best I can. Anybody else who's right now watching, tuned in, commented, Zachification, all those guys, man. Appreciate you guys tuning in. You guys are all the real MVPs tonight. Appreciate it. Without you guys watching, without you guys tuning in, podcasting would not be talking into a camera right now. So appreciate it. Thank you to MJ, who decided to fill in for Ezra tonight. Big props to you. Short notice. You said yes. No problems. No hesitation. Let the guys know where they can reach you.
Yeah, so you guys can find me on YouTube. Just search Sports Fan Entertainment. Also find me on Twitter at TheMJTake. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, fellas. We're gonna call it a night. Thank you guys for tuning in for the conversation. This Sunday for the Fantasy Football League, for those who are still hanging around in the comment box and still watching, we will be doing the Fantasy Football League this Sunday, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, 2 o'clock Central Time, and I'll have to discuss with Ezra whether we want to do a Red Zone Blitz special live while we make our selections and interact with you guys, or whether we're just gonna just do the draft without a live broadcast. But if you guys want to stay in the loop on that, follow me on Twitter if you have not already followed me. I know most of you guys have, and I'll make an announcement, or I'll contact you guys directly via message. But again, thanks for everyone who tuned in. Until the next episode of the Red Zone Blitz, guys, we're out.